Good time to stream. All right, Marci. Proving that undying loyalty yields unrivaled power, Marci always marches into battle ready to raise fists in defense of her companions. Sounds support-like. Effortlessly flinging friends and foes around the battlefield, she happily bounds into any brawl, able to grant allies a deadly edge and unleash another support. Unleash a hidden power strong enough to make even gods reconsider the wisdom of a hostile path. Grabs an enemy or target and throws it effortlessly behind her, damaging and stunning the unit if it's an enemy. Any enemy units in the landing area will also be damaged and stunned. So basically like a suplex or whatever. Is that what it's called? It's pretty good. It's like a hook kind of in some ways. Holy shit, that's far. Rebound. Vector targeted. Balance the target unit, choosing a direction and distance she will spring away from it. Upon reaching the unit, Marci lunges, damaging, slowing. So you can use it to like jump off of somebody else. The unit she runs to as an ally receives bonus movement speed for 5 seconds. Okay. That looks cool. Imbuing a chosen allied hero and herself with lifesteal and attack damage. Okay. Lifesteal and attack damage. Looks like you can just cast it on yourself as well, though. And then, I know this is really small, but Marci taps a hidden power, gaining fury charges allow her to deliver a rapid sequence of strikes. The last strike in every Fury combo creates a damaging pulse around the target that slows movement speed and attack speed for 2 seconds. Between Fury combos, Marci is unable to attack for 1.5 seconds. Marci receives a basic dispel when unleashes cast and gains movement speed. Okay, so basically it's kind of like a overpower on Ursa that you can only use once in a while. This is going to make an item, like if you do play her like a carry, she's almost surely like a core, I feel like. Because of the fact that you do need to attack with your ultimate, and because you get damage and lifesteal with your third skill, so she's almost certainly a core. Obviously this has some support properties. Obviously Sidekick has support properties. At the very least, you're going to right click a little bit. She is, I don't know what type of hero she is. She agility? Strength? Oh, she is strength. Okay. So she might function okay as a support just because of her relatively good strength. This is the new hero, guys. But yeah, this ulti would work really good with like Maelstrom or any other proc type thing, MKB, etc. Are the strikes? I'd have to look at it, but base-wise, 310 movement speed is very good. Her base damage is massive, like actually fucking insane, really high. So her starting attributes look fine. 3.3 armor is okay, not incredible. Here's the stats on this. So let's make this bigger. Mars stays the same, huh? Okay. Stun duration 1.2 to 2.1. 16 to 10 seconds. Mana cost is 90. It's very cheap. Damage is not that high, but it is a stun. And it pulls somebody out of position, which is good, obviously. Uh, 70 to 100 mana. What's her int gain again? It's okay. She ain't the smartest. I'm guessing you just can't cast this if you don't, I should tweet that I'm talking about this. New hero. Tweet. Damage looks good. Wow, that jump range is actually so fucking big. So basically, if you fight anywhere near a creep wave, it's pretty easy to like initiate. Playing your allies is obviously very good. You'd need a creep in a lot of cases. If you don't have this, then this just doesn't work. So in some ways, it is. Oh, you can jump on an enemy too. Okay. Yeah, because she killed the Pugna. That's right. If it's an ally, they get movement speed. So kind of cool. There's that movement speed. Okay. 60% slow at max for 3 seconds. That looks fine. Damage is fine. Cooldowns are pretty low. 9 seconds for the second one. 10 seconds for the first one. Basically just seems like you can just throw somebody back, then you can rebound to them. Life steal up to 50%, bonus damage up to 65, duration is 6 seconds. Still seems good though, because a little bit of life steal is, and by a little bit I mean this is a lot of life steal. This is quite a lot. You just got enough fighter when she uses it, pretty much. Mana cost is relatively low. I could definitely see her getting at least like one of these in laning stage, but the cooldown's really long. This is like a really, really long cooldown. She'll probably just function better straight up as a hero that doesn't rely on sidekick in the laning stage if you're like a 3. With that said though, with dual lanes, it's obviously very, very good. Like something like sidekick with Tusk, for example, would be really good. Both heroes get bonus damage, both heroes get lifesteal. Like sidekick with Tusk is amazing. But again, cooldown's really long. She'll function fine as like a support right now if you guys want to play her that way. Because you can basically like rebound into the fight and then dispose, throw somebody back, and then pop sidekick on an ally too if you want to. Mana cost goes down a little bit. I mean, if you hypothetically max this out first, it's kind of cool, but like by itself, it's not a very good skill. It's just damage. You basically need items for this to feel good. With that said though, let's see how her ulti works exactly. So strikes per fury. This is the pulse damage, is the AoE. Pulse attack slow scales up by a lot. And it lasts for, what, 2 seconds? Slows movement attack speed for 2 seconds, yes. And she can attack every, what? Does it say? Doesn't say. But she gets 3 strikes, that means 3 auto attacks. So it should scale with damage really well. So you get 3 attacks basically, and then you get an explosion. Lasts 18 seconds. It's pretty good. So obviously these two scale really well together, because if you increase your damage by 65 and then you do this and you're getting 65 times 3 on the extra hits. So that seems really solid. Yeah, not bad. She's just like a martial artist effectively with some energy shit or whatever. The power of sidekicks. Bash would be good for her. That's true. Yeah, because you're going to strike very rapidly. Like you're pretty much guaranteed to get a bash. Do you need it though? Maybe not, because I mean you do have a guaranteed stun here with Dispose. But yeah, if you want more, you can make it work. But Dispose should be fun as a way to like try to like throw people together to land that AoE stun. Because this is a pretty good stun duration if you can get it. But yeah, if you turn on Unleash with like Sidekick, you're gonna be able to do like an absolute shitload of lifesteal. So I'm sure right click stuff will be fine on her. What is more common though? As with all strength heroes, like Armlet is quite good, obviously. Echo Saber is probably great on her because you can basically cast Rebound all the time to push creep waves. The skill is like really fucking good for killing creep waves. Like 9-second cooldown, 100 mana. That alone is going to make her broken. Whenever new heroes come out, they're always going to be kind of busted at the start. But like the fact that you have 2 AoE skills is like kind of crazy. Because all you have to do is walk to the range creep, do the dispose, it's going to toss it in the melee creeps, and then you just like rebound it. So like if you just max out these 2 skills first, you're going to farm super fast. You can push creep waves, and then while pushing creep waves, you look for engagements on enemy heroes. So my assumption is you just don't skill Sky's Sidekick early. Maybe 1 point if you want lifesteal with your ulti, because 35% is obviously a lot. So you could justify getting like 1 point for these oh shit moments maybe, but is she released? I'm guessing. Yeah, Rebound is definitely really good for sure. I wouldn't be surprised to see them nerf the damage on some of these, but almost all heroes are kind of broken right when they come out. Dawnbreaker is maybe the one exception. I'm guessing that it's not in the game though. They're just like teasing. Is that what's happening? I mean, I haven't restarted, but update is out. Okay. Let's go. Your game just started updating. There's a patch. I like patches. Oh, I don't have an update. Let's talk about this. Battle Fury bonus damage increased by 5. Quell bonus damage reduced from 18 to 15. So this means because it used to give you bonus damage against creeps. Now it does a little bit less, but it gives you more here. So technically a 2 damage increase against creeps. So just Battle Fury 5 damage better against heroes. Small camps experience bounties reduced by 10. Little nerf to mid. Bottle rune store duration reduced by 30 seconds. This is going to make DDs a little bit harder to abuse, basically, or any other power rune, which I think is totally fine and reasonable, because that's a minute and a half, right? So you can't save your rune to double stack them either. Crimson recipe cost decreased. Echo Saber nerfed. Fey Grenade no longer applies your attack damage, so that's probably for the best. It was just way too good on heroes like Earthshaker or like Bounty Hunter. It's quite good on him too. You could just like burst people too fast, pretty much, because you could just initiate on somebody and then cast it and then instantly hit somebody. It was like an Echo Saber. Like it was literally an Echo Saber. Fey Grenade was actually an Echo Saber at the start of fights. They upped the damage. I think it was like 7 or 8 seconds. So this is actually pretty good. It's like it's like a 2 times earn basically. Better for supports, much worse on cores, obviously. Falcon Blade recipe cost increased a little bit. It's a little more expensive. Greaves are cheaper. That's good. Heart cheaper. Helm more expensive. That'll probably affect armlet and everything else. It's just too good to rush it. It's like 6 armor. They needed to nerf this, probably. Holy Locket gets nerfed. Hurricane Pike buffed. A little cheaper. Lincoln's getting better. 16 all stats. It's not too bad for like mid 4,000. Mage Slayer debuff duration increased by 2 and attack speed increased by 5. Not much of a buff, but they did buff it. Mjolnir better. Psychic Headband no longer triggers Lincolns. That was probably needed. That shit was kind of good if you just drop Psychic Headband against a Lincoln's buyer. Just super easy to break it. So it makes sense. You should be forced to buy an item that actually breaks it. A little nerf to Satanic. Shadowblade nerfed. Silver Edge reduced a little bit. 8 damage, 5 attack speed, not much. Basher cheaper. Swift Blink is nerfed. It's like the blink that everybody buys. No longer amplifies attack-based spells like cleaves, splashes, damage return, etc. I did not know that it did this, but that makes some sense why everybody was buying it on supports. So it would amplify your carry's cleave damage by 16% or 18%. That's pretty insane, actually. Splash would be like Dragon Knight type stuff, like the Dragon Knight splash. It's not a cleave. It's like an AoE based on where it hits. Dragon Knight level 2 or higher is splash. It used to be different than cleave in mechanics wise, because it would actually affect armor, be affected by armor. Cleave does that now too, but used to not. Damage return would be like blade mail and stuff. So that would mean that Veil with an ally that has blade mail would be really good, because their blade mail would do more damage. So tiny little baby nerf there. Nerf to Vlad's. I actually like this. This looks good. Make Vlad's cheaper, make Helm of the Overlord more expensive. And this is a double nerf to Helm, because it's also 25 gold more expensive up here. Helm of Iron Will more expensive, and Helm getting more expensive. So 150 gold. No, I'm sorry. 100 less here, 100 more here. So that's equal. It's only 25 more. So it's basically the same cost. But you can get the Vlads faster. Some ways not terrible. Not the worst for Overlord, Helm of Overlord buyers. They buff up Witchblade, 2 more int. They needed to buff this item. It was a little bit too weak. Like basically nobody bought. And they buff Wraithband armor bonus by half. I think that's a good option. Wraithband is the worst of the 3 basic items, in my opinion. Bracers are still purchased sometimes by heroes that want them. Not super commonly. Wraithband or Null Talisman's very common, obviously, for mid players. A lot of Null Talismans are bought there. But Wraithband is almost exclusively not purchased. Nobody upgrades their base components to it. And this is like one aspect of Wraithband that actually makes it kind of unique, in that it does give you an okay amount of armor. Like, armor's a little bit hard to come by, typically. A lot of armor items will only give you 4 armor right now. So Wraithband giving you 2 plus 5 agi, that's like almost 3 armor from a Wraithband. So if you are against like a heavy physical damage hero, Wraithband is going to be a little bit more beneficial. But this is half of an armor is like 3% HP increase against physical damage, which is decent. Like if you buy 2 Wraithbands on a hero, you have 6% more HP than you did before, than you did in the last patch. So heroes that would like Wraithbands basically right now is like Agi heroes typically that are kind of low armor. So I would say like, I would buy a Wraithband maybe on like a Viper or a Razor. Those heroes have pretty crappy agility gains. So hypothetically a Wraithband against like, if I'm playing either of those heroes against like a Slardar or something, Wraithbands would be okay. Weaver? I don't think I would buy... I don't think I'd buy Wraithbands on Weaver. I don't think that's good. Weaver's not that tanky. Like, yeah, time lapse is good, but like I guess you could buy Wraithbands on him, but or a Wraithband. I don't think it'd be bad to buy like 1 Wraithband on him, but I don't know if people are going to still buy. I think they're still generally going to avoid Wraithbands, but I mean, if you buy the 2 base components already and they're in your inventory, I could say it's justified to spend the 200 gold for 2 armor, 5 attack speed. That seems okay. 200 gold for 5 armor, or for 2 armor. That's okay. It's like a ring of protection. It's not terrible. PA doesn't really need armor that badly. Typically, PA is normally weak to burst damage, typically magic damage. So I'd say PA Wraithband is not really good. Obviously, it gives you 5 damage, 5 attack speed. Well, technically 10 attack speed, 5 damage. Wraithbands are okay in that sense, that they help you farm a little bit faster. But for most carries, the reason they never buy Wraithbands anymore is because it's just not worth spending. It's not worth diverting your item build by 1,000 gold to buy like 2 Wraithbands. It just isn't. It's not worth the money. The increase in farm speed isn't enough to justify it. In the past, when Wraithbands gave like damage and attack speed and agility, then they were better. But when they got armor added to them, it's like a partially defensive item now. So you should think about Wraithbands as like useful if you're an agility hero that wants to right click that also needs armor. So that's why like Viper or Razor are kind of perfect for Wraithbands, in my opinion. Give it more attack speed. I mean, maybe it would help it would help some heroes compete with like Battle Fury or Maelstrom as an item purchase, but you could maybe justify Wraithbands on like Faceless Void some games too. Physical damage can be a bit iffy on those heroes as well. And certainly like buying a Wraithband against like an ET could be good, like on Agi heroes, just to give you a little bit of armor. To buy like 1 Wraithband if you're like an Agi carry against an ET. 2 armor is helpful. If you don't get a Wraithband on some Agi carries, you struggle the last hit. Yeah, I get that. I get that. But it's only 5 damage. The thing that almost all carries do right now is they buy their Treads item right away. So they'll buy like Band of Evelyn skin to give them 6 damage right away. And they'll still buy like Wraithband components, they just won't upgrade it. So they'll still buy like the Slipper and the Circlet sometimes and Ironwood branches. But they just get the fast Wraithband, or they get the fast Tread component. That way they have 6 more damage, and then it becomes a lot easier to last hit. So I get your point, but Wraithbands are just kind of expensive. So not sure Witchblade's still worth buying, but it'll be a little bit better. I mean, 2 int is, it's okay. It's 2 damage. It's like 0.1 mana regen. A little bit of mana regen, not terrible. It's just, I don't really see... There's just a lot of heroes where Orchid just seems obviously better than Witchblade, because Witchblade doesn't give you mana regen much. It only gives you like 0.7 mana regen because of the int. It's just okay. 0.7 mana. Yeah, Vlad's being cheaper looks good to me. I don't know if I'd buy it on like Brewmaster or something. Probably not, but... Anyways, let's go to heroes. Alchemist strength gain increased by a bit. Axe battle hunger slow boost, so it's better to max it out. Good for slacks. Base damage reduced by 2 for Bane. Cooldown for Nightmare increased. The early ones are not that big of a deal, but the Slate one is going to be pretty impactful, typically. There's a lot of extra time, especially with the Nightmare talent. You could get it down to like 10 seconds or something. I think it's like -3 or something. Now it's going to be 12 seconds instead of 10. That's a huge difference. And then less armor bonus at 10. That talent was like one of the last few like high armor talents, but Bane finally got popular, so they finally nerfed it. So it stayed there for a while. Brood getting a buff, looks like. 5 more. Oops, that's not what I wanted. Thank you. Oops, that's way too far. Oh shit, there's a lot of buffs and nerfs. I thought the patch would be much later than this. But maybe this is all baby stuff. Charge replenish time reduced by 10. And then they're nerfing this talent because otherwise it'd be too good together. But either way, you can still get your webs down to 20 seconds. Before it would be 15. Sorry, math, 25. So 20 seconds instead of 25, which is pretty good. So you can web more often. Chen base damage increased by 2. These are the buffs we needed. His base damage was pretty weak, actually. Mana cost here is good. If you do stay on the map a lot and you summon a lot of creeps or control a lot of creeps, you can run out of mana pretty quick. I think 200 for 6 is excellent. Like this is really nice to him. This is really, really nice to help make it higher chance he can ulti there. And then mana cost for penitence also buff. So just mana issue resolving here, which is nice. You can stay on the map quite a bit longer early game. Well, that's not really true because you don't necessarily max out. I guess you max out penitence second almost always right now. So it'll make your mid game better if you're fighting a lot and death pushing. 2 more base damage isn't going to help that much, but it'll help in laning certainly because you're fighting heroes a lot. So this is okay. Nice little baby buffs to Chen. They're okay. 2 damage is not bad. Core Chen probably shouldn't ever happen, but who knows? Doom cast range reduced a little bit. That's pretty valid. 550 range is kind of a lot, and Doom's such a good spell, and he's like still very good at dooming people with blink daggers. So like, do you really need to be able to just doom from like almost max attack range? That would be a little good. So it's reasonable nerf to Doom. Base movement speed increased by 5 on Drow. That'll be fine, and edgy bonus can be rounded up a little bit too. Mana cost for Fissure goes up. Scepter no longer grants cleave to ranged heroes, so that's a nerf for Morphling or Shaker combos. The fact that you would still get the cleave after with Enchant Totem was kind of unfortunate. But yeah, that's going to basically... Like, it's still fine. Morphling's still going to be fine, but that was really nice to have because you just turn into him, you jump towards a creep wave, and you'd like one-shot the creep wave just about with the cleave. So it's going to take you a little bit more time to farm when you're doing Morph or Shaker combos now. Elder Titan nerfs. Movement speed per hero rescaled, so it's going to be... You're going to be a little bit slower early. 2 to 4% in laning stage, basically. Which is not that much. 10% is 30 movement speed about. So that's like... What, a fifth of that? Was that 6? 6. About 6 less movement speed. Not that big of a deal, but it might matter in some small cases. Bonus damage per hero reduced as well. This one's going to hurt the most. 2 points of this looks quite good, I gotta say. So fighting at level 1 is just going to be way worse. And the vision reduced a little bit too, which is impactful, certainly. So if the spirit comes through, it's easier to juke it if they don't have vision of you yet. Activate Fire Remnant has a cast point now. So what this does basically is it means it's going to be a lot easier for you to catch Ember Spirit when he's doing funky stuff. Scepter no longer reduces mana cost. Okay. So basically they want to make it so you don't have get out of jail free on Ember Spirit anymore. Direct nerf to Toronto, Tokyo. So basically, normally what happens when you're playing Ember Spirit is you put a Remnant down somewhere safe, and then you go do your crazy shit, go push out a creep wave or whatever. And then as soon as you see a hero, you cast Sleight of Fist, so that you become invulnerable, and you start like jumping from unit to unit. And then while you're in that, you press Remnant. So normally, otherwise you'd have to do something like turn your hero to jump to the Remnant, I think, which sometimes takes a little bit of time. But if you Sleight of Fist, it kind of like bounces you back and forth. So while you're sliding, you can activate the Fire Remnant. But even like this just means that there's like a tiny, tiny window. I guess if you're already sliding, you're fine no matter what, because then the extra timer doesn't really matter much. Like you're pretty much guaranteed to get away. That's not necessarily true though, because it depends how many units there are. If there's a lot of units, obviously you're spending more time invulnerable and it's pretty easy to jump. But if there's just like one guy and you turn to like slide him first, there's a better chance you get caught. Or just that if somebody like blinks on you, there's a better chance they hit you with their Hex or their Yules or whatever before you cast it. And as you come out of your Yules, if you're on top of an ice path or something like that, then you will get stunned. Some AoE stun that lingers, you will get stunned. They made this nerf to Doppelganger as well. because before it was too easy to like continuously escape. So you can't remnant out of Corona anymore. Yeah, that would be a good example, probably, of a stun effect that's on the ground that will affect you as soon as you land. So, which is fine, totally reasonable for Ember. It's a very high skill cap hero, obviously, but yeah. Grim Stroke, buff duration reduced from 4 to 3. So this is good and bad for the hero, but it's probably good. Because the way Inkswell works, if you guys don't know, is you put the buff on an ally or yourself, and then for the buff duration, depending on how much damage is dealt to enemies while it's on you, it does more damage and stuns for longer. But the problem is that, and while it's on you, you run faster too. But the problem is that if it lasts for 4 seconds, it's a lot easier for people to cast a spell or buy time to get away from you. They see it coming, and you don't always have the biggest window. So if they reduce the duration, that means your ability to use this to burst heroes is going to be easier. Your ability to use Inkswell to follow up on another stun is so much easier. Because imagine like I'm standing in the jungle with my teammate, and all of a sudden a hero appears and my ally jumps and stuns him. I'm going to cast Inkswell, and I'm like, boy, I sure hope he doesn't pop BKB anytime in this like 2-second window. But now it's like if they have like a, I don't know, 2.5 second stun, there's like an okay chance that you actually land Inkswell as a follow-up. Pro players are still going to abuse this equally as well because pro players are very good at coordinating it. But even if this lowers Grimstroke's run rate in the sense that it's going to lower his movement speed, generally, you won't have that buff as much, but it's just going to be easier to like disable follow-up. So even if his win rate goes down, this is going to set Grimstroke up for a buff in the next patch where they can say like buff the damage of Inkswell. This doesn't implicitly say whether or not this is going to mean less stun or stun duration or damage explosion. My assumption is, I don't know, based on the way it's written, it looks like it's a straight up nerf. It's going to have less time to accrue stun or damage. But the fact that you can land follow-ups is probably just better. Buff for ganking and nerf for farming. I mean, farming is not how you should ever look at Inkswell anyways. That thing does like 100 AoE damage to creeps or something. It's bad. It's really bad. If there's no heroes there, it's a bad skill for creep farming. So I wouldn't even like worry about that aspect. But it should make him a little bit easier to like follow up on stuns. You could also, if you buy Hex, for example, you could always land Inkswell on somebody because that lasts for 3.5 seconds. If they have status resistance, maybe not, because that'd lower the duration by like 0.6, so that'd be like a 2.9 second Hex. But in almost all other situations, landing Inkswell as a follow-up is going to be a lot easier. The first nerf to him when he was good was to put this to a 4-second buff. They're just reversing that. That's fine. I think it'll be overall good. Tether, Shard's speed bonus reduced. I noticed that pro players were buying this a lot. They really like the Tether Shard. Guess it must have been the movement speed and other things. Level 10 talent nerfed. Relocate cooldown nerfed as well. So little nerfs to IO. He was picked a lot at TI. Was banned a lot at TI. Keeper of the Light. I think only got picked like once or twice. Magic resistance reduction is increased. And Illuminate heal is gone up, which is going to help make Coddle a little bit better despite Locket getting nerfed. 40% heal is pretty good though. That's like 200 HP instead of 150. It's an extra 50 heal from Illuminate. Not bad from Blast. Lena, cooldown increased again. Poor Lena, nerfed so much. Movement speed per stack reduced at all levels, so way less late game. 3% less movement speed late game. 3% less early game. And then talent, they're going to buff the Dragon Slave cooldown talent that basically nobody ever gets. Unless you're a support. Supports usually get it. And then they're going to buff, nerf the damage talent. Damage talent was also very good. So even though Dragon Slave cooldown gets increased, by the time you hit 10, you can still get this, and it'll still be equally as good as it was in the previous patch. But if you don't get this talent, then your Dragon Slave just factually worse. What is Fiery Soul really quick? Did my Dota update yet? Oh, it did. Or it hasn't yet. The update is ready though, so it looks like Marci's playable. I can't remember what Fiery Soul runs out at. Is it 9 or 8? I know Lightstrike Ray stun got increased enough where it's not like 10 or something. So I think you can like pump up Fiery Soul with just Dragon Slave. I'm pretty sure, but Lion mana cost for Earth Spike has gone up, so just a little bit baby nerf for his laning. 70 was pretty darn low for that, so this is a pretty reasonable increase in my opinion. Lycan Scepter. Scepter cooldown now matches Shapeshift. That's the Ags. So it depends on what level you are. And then Scepter now causes the target to have a fully fixed 150 attack range. So that means if you Lycan Bite a Tiny, he doesn't get bonus attack range anymore. And this means that even if they have like a... I don't know if there's other ways to abuse it. Tiny Toss is the most... or Tiny Tree is the most obvious one. But the other one would be like Broom Handle type stuff, Monkey King. Heroes that have a greater than normal attack range. Who was the other one that just got released? Isn't Void Spirit a little bit farther? I think Void Spirit has longer attack range too. Alright, Magnus. Shard now applies a movement and attack speed slow to targets instead of a stun. Duration from... so it's more duration, but it doesn't stun anymore. And shard damage is now done at the start rather than the end. Okay. And then Skewer range reduced a little bit. And Skewer... range talent nerfed a little bit too. So total range lost is 75 and 50. So 150 units lost for Skewer, which is about what I expected. I figured they would just make Skewer a little bit weaker because that was the primary issue. Horn Toss was also very good, obviously, because of your ability to catch people. If they didn't have BKB, you always catch them. You'd easily be able to do like the Horn Toss, Skewer back type thing. I thought there were like 2 stuns. There was like a lift time. Maybe lift, they're still stunned, but now when they land it, they're just slowed for longer, it looks like. It's still going to be potentially good, but people have more solutions, pretty much. Medusa Agi gain reduced, and Snake Talent reduced. Monkey King gets a nerf. Let's see what else hits him. Cooldown increase for Primal Spring, and Boundless Strike cooldown is nerfed a lot, actually. I mean, Monkey support, I guess this hurts him a little bit because his base movement speed's a little bit weaker, but he was still played, like, pretty exhaustively. Is that a word? He's played all the time at TI. Banned all the time at TI, even until the end. People just didn't want to fuck around with, like, his vision advantage and stuff. It was, like, too much. But this is certainly going to make his early game a lot weaker from a support standpoint. Because now that your cooldown is so long, 28 seconds is huge. That's like if you get Jingu Mastery as well. Even if you like get a Jingu proc and like still save one, this might not be off cooldown in time, for example, by the time it comes back. Oh, I missed a cool animation from Marci, sorry. When I opened Dota. Morphling Agi gain reduced a little bit. Scepter no longer reduces cooldown. Omni base armor by 1, incredible. They're gonna just buff Degen Aura again. This is actually a decent buff though, because it's actually a big increase where it matters. 1 point of Degen is not bad in the slightest, other than the fact that it pulls the skill points away from your other skills. But like if you're playing support Omni guys, like this is a big slow. The AoE's pretty big right now too, I think. 14% slow. That ain't bad for just 1 point. Definitely helps like maneuver in fights a little bit. I mean, this is like literally boots, basically, because remember when boots were percentage based, they were 15. So 14% slow is really big. That's like 40, a little bit over 40 movement speed. So if you get Orb of Venom with Degen Aura, you're really fucking chasing. And it's even better now, too, because your armor's higher. So your ability to fight to the death is, 6% higher. OD Mana Restore increased by 10% all levels. Hi, Tango. Did you ever get to eat? Come here. Come here. When I tell you to come so I can pet you, you do it. Level 10 talent increased a little bit. Pudge. Ooh, that's a big buff. Mana cost reduced by 25. Shard ally. This is a huge buff to Pudge. Because remember, Metok one-shots creeps right now. So if you want to use this against creeps, you can do it much more readily. This gives you a little closer to 3 hooks now in the laning stage. Shard ally regen reduce is not a big deal. That's like when you dismember somebody that's in trouble. Nerfing that very slightly is really not that big of a deal. But yeah, this will be nice. This will really help support Pudges, which we all encounter and experience. Nether Blast cast range increased. 10 talent buffed. Both 10 talents buffed. It's going to make his like Timing's a lot stronger. Shard stun duration reduced. That was probably needed. That shit was really good. And Stampfire is one of the most picked supports at TI as well. Shadow Step nerfed. That was needed. Spectral Dagger cooldown nerf 2. That's because you could Shadow Step, which would give you a dagger on them, and then you could jump in and cast another dagger. You could just do a lot of damage with daggers. Spirit Breaker base strength increased by 1. Base movement speed is up 2. I mean, this is 1 damage, 20 HP. It's okay. Damage for Nether Strike is going up by 25 at all levels. I did feel like Nether Strike felt a little weak to me, but it doesn't add much damage to your go. Storm Spirit base damage reduced by 2. He was quite popular. Vortex cooldown is going to scale worse on the hero now too. So can't use Vortex as much early game. Tidehunter, mana cost, and Anchor Smash goes up. So it'll affect him a little bit, but not the worst. Still pet my dog. Tinker Heat-Seeking Missile. Mana cost goes up, so weaker early game by a lot, actually. This is a lot more. 15 extra. It'll be the same late game, though. And Scepter Laser bonus range reduced a little. So Scepter a little bit weaker. Okay. Tiny Tree Throw. Unit bonus damage reduced from 25 to 20. So that's when you throw it. When you throw a tree, it would do 25%. Now it's only 20, which is what the regular hitting. So basically when you throw it, it would do 5% more damage than before, but now it's going to be the same. The splash now equals tree grab splash values. So that means that basically when you throw your tree now, it doesn't have like this fucking monster splash anymore. It's going to be the same as your regular attack. So throwing it is much weaker than it was previously. Because even with 1 point, it would do 200% splash, which was like insane. So in terms of like harass in the laning stage, Tiny's way worse now. Maybe not way worse, but worse. Because like you get down to your last tree to throw it, and if it cleaves on your opponent, it would be like attacking them twice. That's really good. Now it's only gonna do 40% bonus damage for that last throw. So you can't just like throw the tree to get monster cleave anymore. At least until you level up a bit. Tree grab, the bonus building damage is nerfed. 20% less later. And then here's probably the bigger one, the 15 talent. The tooltip was 15%, but it was doing 30%. So it was doing twice as much damage as it was supposed to. They've changed. They basically said, hey guys, it was 30, whoops, and we'll reduce it to 20%. So basically, Tiny's right click is going to be 10% less than it was at all points in time than it was before. So 10% less damage from right clicking Tiny. Throwing the tree is also 5% less. So that means that together, throwing the tree does 15% less damage than it did before. So this should help. He's probably still going to be strong, in my opinion. But 10% damage decrease is pretty good. Okay, Void Spirit. Cast point increase for Dissimulate, so you can't get out of danger as much. A little bit less damage from the Shard. Nerf to talents that are popular. Warlock. Slacks is creaming himself right now. Shadow Word cast range increase. Harass 600 range is insane on this. It's really good. It's going to be so easy to cast this on people now. In the laning stage, just like spam Shadow Word on opponents. Just all the time. You don't even have to get out of position. You can better heal allies that are in trouble too. Still a pretty solid level 1, level 2 skill. You don't really need to max this out. Typically, it's a little bit weak to do so. But, yeah, now it's even less necessary because the cast range is just high with 1 point. Or even 2 points. Base mana regen reduced for Weaver. Scepter cast range reduced. This is another hero that was pretty popular at TI as a support. Nerfing the Ags is going to be a little bit rough for support, but he'll still be viable as a core, obviously. A little bit less mana regen is going to hurt, but... And then a nerf to the 10 talent for Sakuchi damage. Movement speed buff for Zeus. Dude, he's getting quick! And Lightning Bolt stun duration. Moonhead very happy because he plays his hero. I swear to God, guys, Zeus, he needs movement speed. It's very important. It's how you... You're Zeus, guys. You're a hero that was invented in the year 2002 or some shit. You're old as fuck. You have no natural mobility. What you got to do is get quick. Get some movement speed. That way when they go on you, you can like run away or something. It helps. It really does. Promise. Dude's old. Alright, and that's the patch. Lots of little stuff. Let's take little baby notes first. Pudge hook was pretty significant. Omni degen early? Question mark. Looks kind of good. Spirit Breaker's okay. Tiny certainly worse. Warlock cast range with some mana regen, not bad. Harass. Zeus. Race car. Anything else really significant that I would bother to bring up again? Lena blown the fuck out. Grimstroke Inkswell might be better. Grim Swell combo? Question mark. Just a lot of nerfs, frankly. Like baby buff on Drow. I mean, this isn't terrible. This could be like, you know, it's like 5. Well, it's like 2 agility. This is like a 2 agility bonus or something. The level 1. It's not terrible. 2 attack speed, 2 damage. That's okay. Chen buff, dude. Base damage by 2. Chen mega buffs. Watch out. All pretty small stuff. Alchemist maybe. Battle hunger, but this is not much. 3% movement speed increase. I mean, I guess if you land a big monster battle hunger with Ags or something, it could be good, but... Witchblade maybe. Wraith bands. Maybe. Buy Lincoln stocks. 2 more extra attributes, guys. That's incredible. 2 whole attributes. That's 2 Ironwood branches that you didn't have before. Mage Slayer probably still bad, but this is a lot better. 6 seconds is a lot of time. It's like you initiate, you get counter initiated on, you start running for your life, and normally like this debuff goes away and they fucking kill you. But 6 seconds is like they're gonna help kill you, but they're gonna do a lot less damage. Hurricane Pike just getting more and more appealing. Greaves is cheaper. That's pretty nice for us Dizzle players. That's about it. Small camp XP, nerf mid players. Alright, cool. Very cool. Let's hide this and then let's go into Dota. There she is. Let's demo her out. Psychic headband nerf, huge buff to Lincolns. That's true. Battle Fury on Marci? I guess you could get Cleave. Oh, my headset's off. I was like, look, I know she's quiet, but...
Prepare for battle.
Okay, here we go. Alright, I can hear now. I saw her mouth moving before. Nothing? Alright, actually, my sound is fucking broken. I literally don't even hear creeps fighting. What? The fuck was that? There's like a bug on my for my sound system or something. It's like if there's no audio, then dude, her animation is quick. If you can't last hit with Marci, you're bad, guys. That's all there is. She's whistling. Oh no. Okay, let's cast some spells. Well, let's look at her talents. Armor and mana regen. Dude, her agi is insane. 27. Look at her base stats, actually. Look at her fucking base stats. Oh, I'm level 4, actually. Alright, let's look at it again. Marci. Where does the game say she should be? She's not in the game. Okay, those stats look a little bit more reasonable. Whistling. Let's level up. So, just easy click. Oh, I could do ally creeps too. That's cool. So I can throw allies back. Can defensive swap, basically. Let's just level up a bunch. Level up to max. What's the cast range on this? Oh, it's pretty short actually. That's a pretty big throw though. 350 distance. The downside, so a lot of what I think is going to happen a lot is you're going to do shit like this, and then do some shit like this. Did I get an auto attack in when I jumped? I think I did. I heard something. Yeah, this is what you do. You walk up, you do one of these, and you're like, hey! Except not as bad. But you know what I mean. Yeah, she's very mobile. Well, with this, yeah. Like, look how far you can go with this shit. That's an initiation right there. Uh-oh. Side kicking. Alright, that was, did I have sidekick on? I mean, I'm a level 30 hero, so it's a little... pretty cool. And then if we get, like, a javelin... Javelin very good, as expected. Maelstrom very good. You're like guaranteed to proc Maelstrom at least once. I mean, I can't help but think that crits wouldn't still be really good too, because this is like an insane amount of right click, right? You're attacking so quickly. Like, and this is raw damage as well, so like buying a Daedalus or something, like you could certainly just go raw damage builds, which would be really good for sidekick and lifesteal. It's really not bad at all. You can also use sidekick twice late game. Well, you can't see it because the cooldown's still, but I ran out here for like 6 seconds or whatever. I could cast it again. Movement speed is pretty high here. Why am I so fast? Okay, there we go. Oh, that's right. This gives you movement speed. Right? Yeah, she gets 15% movement speed with that, which kind of makes sense, right? Because they're not slowed when they hit, right? It's only at the end, right? So this is what you're going to see a lot, is people running away from her. Vector targeting. Oh, okay, so here's one thing, is that whoever you jump off, you are limited on the circle. You can't go any closer than this. So jumping right off that position is a little bit weaker. So that means the safe thing to do is, if you're playing against Marci, is to stand directly on top of your ally. If you stand directly on top of your ally, then she can't do the rebound damage. If you guys separate, then you're fucked. So as soon as you start running away, it's going to be a lot harder. It's like if these guys are together, I can't hit them with rebound damage. It's like impossible. Maybe I can get this guy here, but... And then as soon as one of them starts running, then it's easier. So that would be an option, is you both like sit close and hit her. Okay, so armor talent, pretty good on... Man, her agi gain is so good. It's a lot of agility for a... So armor talent is pretty solid. Mana regen talent is really good too, because between these two skills you're going to farm super fast. I'm pretty sure you should just max them out. Mana regen will probably benefit you there, but again, her armor is great if your strength gain is really high, and hers is quite high. Dispose stun duration, that's this one, so that's pretty fucking sick. That gives you up to 2.85 second stun, rebound, cast, and jump range. So that means you can jump even farther. Does that mean the... Okay, so the range is still fine. Like, the short range is the same, but you can just jump a lot farther. That's fucking insane as far as I'm considered. Like, look how insane this is. This is a 9-second cooldown ability. This is like, if I get ganked at all, I'm just like, peace. They're like, oh, I'm... Like, imagine this guy ganks you and you're just like, oh shit, I'm getting ganked. Don't you think this is a little elaborate, guys? With Aetherlands? I mean, you're right, that's probably cool, but nobody's gonna buy that. Nah, it's the same. With that said, there's gonna be a lot of cases where like you can't really defend yourself. Where like you try to run for your life and you have to use your ulti and shit to get 15 movement speed. She does anime run, guys, if you didn't notice. It's very, very important. Okay. Phase is probably really good on this hero, honestly. Because you are a little bit mobility limited. Like, obviously you can jump really far with rebound, but your hero is very much about chasing people and doing damage, so I'm quite sure phase is good, especially because Unleash already gives you max attack speed anyways. So like, if you have max attack speed, you're kind of like Ursa, basically. It makes sense as an Ursa to go phase boots. Because it's all about chasing, and because your strength, you also have a lot of HP, so extra armor is good. So, yeah. Sidekick spell immunity? What? Seriously? What? The fuck? Seriously? 30 movement speed is really good, but like, sidekick spell immunity? Are you serious? Like, if this works for both of us, that's fucked. That's fucked. That's legit fucked. Legion Commander is by a shard. And Marci can just be like, oh, free BKB. That's actually fucked. What is that? Oh, you're going on, my friend? Sorry. I don't see how everybody doesn't grab this. I mean, if you're playing like carry or something, like, I mean, you can also self BKB too, right? Do some shit like this, but this works on towers. Of course it does. Dude, this hero can do a lot of things. Alright, last one, Pulse Silence. So you can silence after you finish this. Respawn, guys. That's pretty close to perma, am I crazy? It's like pretty close to perma silence. That's really, really good. Sidekick lifesteal. It's obviously very good too, because you're getting 100% lifesteal. Like, 100% lifesteal is fucking insane, guys. That's like Satanic. Satanic is 200%. You're doing half Satanic with that talent for 6 seconds, and you can give it to an ally. Alright, yeah, this shit's good. This hero is definitely very solid looking. I would assume that she's doing well in her games, but I'm sure she'll just get banned every game for a while, because everyone's gonna pick her. I mean, will she get nerfed quick? Probably. Anyways, item-wise, like I said, Maelstrom is quite good. Something like SNY is gonna be really solid. Soul Ring is probably mandatory, because how much value you get out of casting spells.
Sweet as, I should get heat. I'll shake this off.
I just don't see why you wouldn't do something like this, basically. Maybe get a bracer or some shit, I don't know. This is like gonna be your normal item build, probably. I see her mouth moving. But I don't see why you wouldn't just do something like this. That's how you start every fight, basically. The only downside is you're wasting the slow duration with the stun duration. That part's kind of weak, but... And then, like, every time a creep wave comes up, you just do the same shit. Here comes a creep wave. I am Marci. Like, see how good this is at pushing? Would I lose a little bit of health? She's going to have a little bit weaker regen, or HP regen, but... I don't know, these abilities are just way too low cooldown in my opinion. And the mana cost is too low, they're going to have to nerf them. Almost certainly. Alright. They do kind of sound like comical punches. Can run away so easily with this. I feel like if you lose the laning stage, she's going to feel a little bit rough, I guess, but you can always run away with rebound. Alright. What the ags? Usually when new heroes come out, they don't have ags and shards because it allows players time to like kind of get a feel for what the hero truly feels like. And then once that's determined, then what you do is then you can like adjust the ags based on what you actually need. I would probably max out the second skill first just because it's mobility, even though dispose is good. It's just a lot easier to use it. Peace. A lot of fun stuff you can do this one. Alright. Support or carry? Core is going to be better right now, but you could probably play her support as well.
I step through the forest like it's not even there.
There's her voice line. Is that what you guys wanted? Default. It's not really that much of a jungler, to be honest. She's a lot stronger as like a lane dominator or a lane pusher. Anytime the hero has 2 AoEs, you end up being kind of broken in terms of pushing stuff. Damn, dude, I took so... Oh shit, he's playing Marci.